Farmers Alive Today presents
Two Guys.
In 1946, the Hubschmans operated a snack bar concession in the Radio Corporation of America, RCA, plant in Harrison, New Jersey, which was one of the earliest U.S. manufacturers of television sets. They became friendly with one of their customers, an RCA executive who invited Herbert to tour the plant. During the tour, Hubschman saw a batch of scratched cabinet television sets returned from the retailers as unsaleable. The Hubschmans worked out a plan to buy these sets for a low price, and sell them in a vacant lot for a $5 markup on each set, providing their own publicity using car windshield flyers. The sale was so successful that the batch they figured would take a month to sell were gone in a few hours. They continued the arrangement with RCA and soon were ready to open their own store and use newspaper advertising. By this time they had heard of their competitors whining, "We can't compete with those two bastards from Harrison." The Hubschmans wanted to use that as the store name to taunt the competition, but no newspaper would print it, so they settled on Two Guys from Harrison. In 1959 the company acquired O.A. Sutton Corporation, manufacturers of the Vornado line of electric fans, air conditioners and dehumidifiers. The merged company was renamed Vornado Inc. At its peak there were more than 100 Two Guys locations nationwide, including upstate New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, California, Maryland and Virginia. In the late 1960s, Vornado decided that it wanted to diversify further by looking for a retail merger partner outside Two Guys' mid-Atlantic marketing region. In 1967 the executives of the firm thought they had found its perfect match on the West Coast when they found a diversified Southern California retail giant that was almost as large as Vornado, which was called Food Giant Markets Inc. Food Giant owned 70 supermarkets that traded under the Food Giant name, 14 Unimart discount stores, 14 Builders Emporium do-it-yourself hardware stores and 6 package liquor stores. It also operated Meyenberg Milk Products, which served 200 franchised Foster's Freeze outlets, and Golden Cream Farms, which operated a milk plant, bakery and ice cream distributorship. At the time of the merger, Vornado had 33 Two Guys stores in New York and 5 neighboring states. Unfortunately, the perfect merger went sour quite quickly and the performance of most of the former units of Food Giant plummeted. Vornado blamed the former managers. Everyone else blamed Vornado for trying to impose an East Coast way of doing things that was not appropriate for a West Coast clientele. As Vornado's commercial fortunes declined throughout the mid to late 1970s, they began selling off Two Guys stores to various companies. In late 1980, Vornado was taken over by real estate investor Stephen Roth through his company Interstate Properties Incorporated after he noticed that the land that the stores sat on was worth much more than the stores themselves. As an ongoing concern, Interstate began the process of liquidating its Two Guys outlets by closing the stores, which had posted a loss of $20 million for the first half of 1981, and leasing the physical locations to other retailers. After selling all of the retail stores, Vornado was later renamed Vornado Realty Trust, having become a real estate management company dealing in valuable commercial retail space. Many locations originally included a discount store with a supermarket as well as complete hardware, major appliance and automotive service departments. The Two Guys supermarkets were full-sized stores within a store. They competed directly with large supermarket chains in the region at the time like Acme Food Fair, Penfruit, Grand Union, A&P, Pathmark and ShopRite. Trading stamps like Plaid and S&H Green stamps were popular supermarket promotions into the early 1980s, and Two Guys supermarkets had its own private label trading stamps. Completed books of Two Guys trading stamps could then be turned in for merchandise credit slips that could be used in any non-food Two Guys department. The supermarkets used the taglines, "Two Guys the supermarket" and "We're putting money back in your pocket" naturally, while the main store used the tagline, "We save money for you naturally." Several stores including Bordentown, East Brunswick, East Hanover, Union and Totowa, New Jersey had an attached liquor store and bar called the Chicken Barn. An arcade that included a 20-feet Bowl-O-Rama game which used actual bowling pins was in the back right of the Dover, New Jersey location. It was succeeded by developer Vornado Realty Trust, which developed, and in many cases still owns, the land on which Two Guys stores once stood. One of the chain's more unusual operations was its outlet in downtown Newark, New Jersey. This location was originally the flagship of the Kresge Newark department store, and for a brief time Chase Newark. Two guys operated on 4 floors of this building, later 3, and operated the store more like a traditional department store. Two guys continued to maintain display windows, revolving doors, and other touches of a traditional downtown department store. This location also included an in-store dining room, the Rainbow Cafeteria. This store opened in 1967 and remained until the chain's liquidation. Bernard Marcus, one of the founders of Home Depot, began his retail career when he convinced the Hubschmans to let him operate the cosmetics concession at a Two Guys store in Totowa, New Jersey. He eventually was put in charge of First Sporting Goods and the major appliance department for the entire company, controlling over $1 billion in sales. He left the company after it was sold to outside investors following Herbert Hubschman's death. Incidentally, Home Depot opened a store on the same plot of land Two Guys occupied in the mid-1990s. After Two Guys went out of business, the Totowa store was subdivided and redeveloped into a shopping center anchored by Bradley's later move to a newly built store, and the part of the old Two Guys building it had occupied was demolished to make way for a newly built Home Depot. The Kearney, New Jersey location on Passaic Avenue became a flea market, then a TSS store, and lastly a Pathmark grocery store after the original Two Guys building was demolished.
The holiday harvest of value sale at Two Guys. Like a 20-piece Corel gift set by Corning, now reduced to $38.88. Your choice of 3 GE appliances. A toaster oven, $29.99. A 2-slice toaster, $13.99. Or an iron, now only $14.99. And to wrap it all up in, flat Christmas wrapping paper, 12 sheets for 77 cents. Think Christmas gifts. Shop Two Guys now.
Save money for you at Two Guys, naturally.
If you have any fond memories, please indicate it at the comments below. Thanks for watching, subscribe, and like.